What was the biggest impetus to buying Twitter?
I was growing increasingly concerned that there was a lack of freedom of speech and freedom of expression. There was a lot of censorship, and a lot of censorship was, some of it was obvious, a lot of it was hidden. Effectively, what they're saying is they want the public to be misled and uninformed. I mean, the media is going to give you generally the dramatized Cliff Notes version of reality.
Both today and yesterday.
But anything that is not made artificially scarce will be plentiful as in a benign AI scenario. You'll be able to have any products and services you want. Anyone will.
I'll be honest, of all the things you do and all the companies you run, the one thing that does concern me, and I know concerns a lot of people out there, so I do have to bring it up, which is Neuralink.
We put a chip in your brain to control your mind. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Concerns not alleviated.
Yeah, there you go. Jump right in. Step right up. Who wants one?
First things first, man. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I mean, there's got a lot going on, obviously. So I actually just got in from Starbase, Texas, and where we're building the Starship rocket. So getting ready for another launch. Hopefully get to orbit this time. Probably be ready in about 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, with great difficulty. I mean, I work a lot, and I have to say the last 6 months have been extra difficult because of the Twitter workload. I mean, generally, what I'm trying to do is take the set of actions that maximize the probability that the future will be good for civilization, that we will expand the scope and scale of consciousness so that we're better able to understand the nature of the universe. The light of consciousness is like, it's like a tiny candle in a vast darkness, and a fragile candle, and we should just do everything we can to make sure it does not go out. We're a flash in the pan, basically. So, anyway, so I think we want to do everything we can to obviously make life on Earth great and make sure Earth is solid and that civilization is on a sound footing. You know, keep making Earth better, but then expand to Mars and ultimately, you know, to the rest of the solar system and eventually to other star systems. Be a spacefaring civilization, like, you know, in the good sci-fi movies and shows. It's like, you know, it'd be pretty cool if we meet aliens and hopefully they're friendly, you know. And just gain a vastly greater understanding of the universe. The cost of sustainable energy has been dropping tremendously, and you're seeing a lot more wind and solar, and you know, pair that with the battery, and you've got you know, continuous power from wind and solar. That's actually very competitive, like, so cost competitive. Actually, one of the nice things about, say, solar battery is you don't need to run high power lines all over the place. You can kind of decentralize the power generation. And I think that's actually better for people to have decentralized power generation, and you know, also decentralized communications. I really mostly sad on an unhappy childhood. Actually, it wasn't 100% bad, but it was pretty rough. And I lived in South Africa until I was 17. You know, I think my views of South Africa are somewhat scarred by kind of a negative childhood experience, like literally scars. Yeah. I have literally quite a few scars. You know, my particular experience was not that great. Yeah. But this simple game that I wrote when I was a kid, and I remember I wrote it when I was like 11 or something. And I did all the graphics and the music and everything. So primitive graphics, primitive music, but still. And I wrote a bunch of other games too when I was a kid, and then I don't know. I wrote software for almost 20 years, from like ages roughly 10 to 30. Yeah. Played a lot of Quake. One of the best teams in the country, actually. I think the first paid esports thing in the US, or certainly one of the first. And we ended up coming second in that. We were actually coming first, but then the best, I was the second best person on the team. The best person on the team, his computer crashed halfway through the game, so we ended up coming second. But I like video games, but I wanted to sort of have I don't know, as big of impact on the world as possible. Like I said, like try to take the set of actions that I think are most likely to result in a good future, be as useful as possible. The average person right now has access to more information than the most powerful person on Earth did in, say, 1980. Or even 1990, frankly. Our quality of life basically is so dramatically better than the past. You have to say, well, why aren't we happy? It's because we just keep recalibrating. We keep setting our expectations higher. We keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
No, overall, I think people should be more optimistic about the future, and I think should recognize that our life today is vastly better than it was in times past.
And I think you're grounded. Honestly, I mean, the fact that we're sitting here and that, you interact with so many people. I mean, let's be honest, if 99% of people were in your position, they wouldn't be doing what you're doing on any level. You're there on Twitter, you're cracking jokes, you're posting memes and responding. I mean, if it's you're who you are, but you strike me as a normal guy who's doing extraordinary things rather than someone who's just completely, like, I don't know, out there, and I couldn't even have a conversation with,
Well, I do think it's important to not get quote Scarface, don't get high on your own supply. Of course, in the end, he did. But you don't want to start thinking too highly of yourself, because it actually reduces your feedback loop. If you think you're too smart, you stop listening to criticism. So I think Twitter's actually helpful for that. Because certainly people will not shy about voicing their opinions.
The frogs with 20 followers keep you in check.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like there's just some things I'm trying to get accomplished, and advanced rocketry and sustainable energy, and in the case of Twitter, freedom of speech. So I think these things mean a lot to me. So I guess I'm motivated to get these things done. In order to get these things done, I have to stay sane because, like physics is the law and everything else is a recommendation. And if you go crazy and you do things that, agree with physics, the rockets blow up, the cars don't work. So physics is a, harsh judge. It's, you get the engineering and the math right, or you don't, and it doesn't work if you don't. So you have to stay grounded in order for the technologies to actually work. So Neuralink, you'll be able to see Neuralink coming from a very long distance, because any device that you implant in a human you have to go through so many tests. It moves very slowly. You just do a few people at a time, and then you go to extreme lengths to prove safety with maximum. We're going far beyond what the requirements are of the FDA from a safety standpoint. And the initial devices will really just be pretty basic. It'll be about restoring functionality to people who've lost their connection between their brain and their body. So you can imagine, like, if, say, Stephen Hawking could talk or communicate as fast as somebody with a fully functioning body. That would be amazing. So that's like what we're trying to do. That's our first application is. And then the second application would be restoration of eyesight. So if somebody's gone completely blind, maybe even has lost the optic nerve, depending upon what cameras you use, you can actually see in different wavelengths. So you can see like ultraviolet, infrared, and that kind of thing. So you can actually do that. You could say like, you could see in radar if you want. Yeah. Artificial general intelligence or digital superintelligence is likely to arrive before we have really advanced neural links. At least that's where the trend is right now. So, but ultimately the idea would be to achieve a symbiosis between our biological mind and our kind of digital mind. So we're already kind of a cyborg if you think of like your phone and your computers as an extension of yourself. In fact, like if you leave your phone behind, it's like you have missing limb syndrome. You're like, where did it go? So you can think of like a human brain really is could be arguably divided into two parts. One is kind of like the primitive brain, the reptile brain, it's sometimes called. It's like a sort of basic instincts, and then we've got the cortex, like the higher level thinking, planning, and that kind of thing. The two operate symbiotically. So I haven't yet met anyone who wants to delete their limbic system or delete their cortex. Everyone's quite happy having both. Yeah, they're like, I like it the way it is. But your cortex is way smarter than your limbic system. But the irony is that even though the cortex is way smarter than the limbic system, most of what it's doing is trying to make the limbic system happy. It's like limbic system's hungry. Okay, let's get some food. The limbic system is horny. Okay, let's have sex or whatever. And then if you think of like the computers as a sort of a third layer, the AI is a third layer. It's not necessarily the case that the AI would be acting contrary to our interests. I think if it's closely linked with our biological intelligence, I think it could actually be just sort of like, again, trying to make the cortex happy, which is trying to make the limbic system happy. So I think we'll put even more computing power into trying to get laid, basically. Now the AI is going to help you get laid. Yeah, I think that actually the most likely outcome for artificial intelligence is that it is good, that it will improve our lives, most likely. But there's some chance that it will not, and I think we just need to be cognizant of that and understand it's a powerful technology, it's a double-edged sword, and we need to put a lot of effort into ensuring that we have a good AI outcome and not a bad one.
What does a good one look like?
Well, I'd recommend people read the Iain Banks books, the culture books. That's the best representation of a positive AI human future that I've seen. Okay. So that's my recommendation. I mean, effectively AI, I think it will massively enhance human ability. It's like just a massive amplifier of human ability, just like the computer was. So really, it's just a question of like, does it? There's some risk that it doesn't merely amplify human activity, but it starts basically just being in charge. Yeah. The change caused by AI is going to be pretty radical. So there will, a lot of jobs that currently exist won't exist in the future. But I think there will be new jobs. And I do think, like in a benign AI scenario, we will really have an age of abundance. I think really goods and services, unless they're artificially made scarce, like it's specialized artwork, or you want that particular house in that neighborhood, like it has to be an artificial scarcity. But anything that is not made artificially scarce will be plentiful in a benign AI scenario. You'll be able to have any products and services you want. Anyone will. Exactly. So it's like, how do we find meaning and relevance? Yeah. If you have an age of abundance where the computer, you just ask for anything and get it, it is something that we'll have to struggle with. That'll be, I don't know. I think that's kind of most likely where we're headed, is an age of abundance. But it will definitely cause some existential angst.
What are you most optimistic about?
In fact, if I should say, like
Okay.
for a Neuralink device, I mean, part of what I'm hoping is here in a benign AI scenario, like how do we even go along for the ride? How do we even understand the AI?
Okay.
Like if you've got some sort of, incredible intelligence, unless we do sort of effectively have better symbiosis, increase the bandwidth to the AI extension of ourselves, effectively augment our human intelligence substantially, we may not even be able to appreciate the wonders that will exist in the future. Like, how do you even go along for the ride and appreciate the, potentially amazing things in the future? Yeah.